What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Game Day Grace, the podcast where faith and sports combine in powerful conversations. David, Schiele, Cory, Mose with you. If you enjoy these conversations, make sure to hit the subscribe button or the follow button wherever you are getting this podcast right now. We are on YouTube, mainly, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well. Our first guest on the Believers Bench is back with us today. We got Jake Camarda in the house, man. Give it up for him, man. Jake Camarda's back in the house. What's going on, brother? What's going on? Also, by the way, he is joined by a very special guest, the brand new puppy in the house. Let's get a look at the new puppy. We got to get a look at the new puppy.
Come on.
There we go.
Everybody. Yeah. Look at that.
She's
now,
so cute.
Who is this? Give everybody who this puppy is. And also, you do have another dog, so we need to know Stella's reaction to this new family member.
Yep. So this is our new puppy. This is Vesper. She is incredible. We do have another dog, Stella. So Stella, who is, like I was saying, she's sitting outside the door right now wanting to be in here, but Stella likes to bark a lot, so if she hears anything, she would probably go nuts. So you might actually hear Stella. The first day that Vesper got home, Stella was like a little confused, kind of like, what's going on? And it's funny the way that we did this whole thing because, so my wife, Kinsley, was out of town in Utah for the whole weekend. Doing a photo shoot. I had two of my, really good friends come in town for like a boys' weekend. And so we were swamped. So Vesper stayed with us the first night, and then we actually gave her to Kinsley's sister came in town. So she went to Kinsley's sister's house for like the next 2 days. And so I think that Stella originally thought, I think she was like, oh, it was a one-time thing. We're good. But no, so we went back. I went back and got Vesper the other day, and she comes back, and I think Stella's like, "Oh no, this is for real." But she's been great though. Stella's funny because Stella's not really a cuddly dog. Vesper likes to cuddle, but I think all puppies do. But Vesper has tried to like cuddle with Stella a little bit, and Stella kind of like jumps out the way every now and then. But other than that, Stella's been, she's been really good to Vesper, and they're learning to play together and share toys and have fun. It's been good.
That's good news. I was wondering, because, Stella, the first time I met Stella, I was like, I'm pretty sure Stella's super confused right now.
Oh, yeah.
How big is Stella?
Stella is, so she's a Cocker Spaniel. She's a big Cocker Spaniel in our eyes. She's like 26, 27 pounds. So she's bigger than Vesper is right now, but give it a few months and Stella will be the little dog in the house.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so the puppy is supposed to get bigger than Stella. Like,
yeah.
So, how many pounds?
We're just not sure. So that's why we did. So we did a DNA test, right? We're going to wait to see exactly what she is. She's supposed to be like a husky mix. And so the guess is that she's going to be bigger. So she's 8 weeks old right now. She's about 10 pounds. So I don't know. I'm hoping that she is a monster. I hope she's a big old dog. I hope that she's like the size of like a German Shepherd or a Husky or something like that. I don't know what's going to happen, but she will. I have a really strong feeling that she's going to be bigger than Stella.
All right. Well, good luck, Stella.
Yep. Say some prayers for Stella.
Good luck with that one. Yeah, my Dodson's he's down here and he's just chilling. We're in favorite room of the house for him is the man cave. He loves it in here.
That's how it is for ours.
Yeah, just
love
like
the man cave.
As soon as the door opens, because like this door, I guess just has a certain sound to it, so he knows when I'm going in here. Mm-hmm. He will sprint in here. Yeah. Oh yeah. Fast sprint, and he just to lay down. He just likes being in here.
I call ours the lair, and so I always tell Stella, I'm like, Stella, you ready to go to the lair? And she'll sprint upstairs, and Vesper likes it too, because that's where like all their toys are, and so they go up there, and all the toys are up there, and so they're like run back and forth on the carpet, and they're just having a grand old time up there. But yeah, it's good.
A lot of the breeds that people try to domesticate were really made to do stuff outside. So the fact that they were able to domesticate certain breeds is kind of special, in that they kind of start, I guess, herding the family in a way, or protecting the family in a way, which is actually pretty cool. But then you get a Dotson who's all bark and no bite, who just, yeah.
That was all bark, no bite.
Yeah. And then some of these dogs are not about that life, man. So they want it, but it's like, nah, no, because I'll come home and Bentley is upstairs. I mean, he's barking like, yo, you better hope I don't come downstairs.
Yep.
But he won't come downstairs.
Yep.
So sometimes I come in and I'm like, do it, Bentley, come on. He won't come downstairs, and then I'll walk upstairs. He'll see me and he'll run away.
I mean, that's Stella. I mean, Stella barks at everybody who walks in the door, but she just progressively backs up and backs up and backs up, because she's never gonna like actually go. She's terrified of people.
Yeah. Except for that one time on the plane where she was high.
Yes. When we traveled,
you gotta tell Cory that story.
What?
Yeah, dude. So check this out. So when the hurricane came and hit, and we were so we had to evacuate Tampa. What the team did was they evacuated everybody, like, and their dogs. And so
That's
what
nice.
we did was so our dog, obviously she's a good dog, but sometimes she like barks around people, and we were like, this could be really like, scary moment for her. So we were like, look, let's just give her a little bit of trazodone, which is kind of like I guess it's like a relaxer, and just like calm her down a little bit. So we gave her I think one full serving of it. Normally, if we'd ever had to give it to her in the past, we would give her a half. But we didn't. We forgot that it was a half. And so after we gave her a full, we were like, oh my gosh, we just gave her a full one. Is she going to be okay? And the thing was, she was fine. And it was actually a good dosage. It was a good amount for her. But when I tell you she was the quietest dog, the slowest moving dog, and she was just the chillest dog, it was unreal. She was hanging out with everybody on the flight. She was just sitting there, not doing too much. I mean,
Not barking at nobody.
Dog didn't. I don't even think she had barking in her. I don't think it was possible. But yeah, she was really chill for the flight. I can tell you that.
Successful flight. That's what it sounded like to me. Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. Mission success. That's dope that the Bucks flew out the pets too. That's
yeah,
cool.
no, it was great. I mean, obviously they didn't really have to do that, but
Yeah.
they worked to try to help us out, and so they got our families out, and then they got the pets as well. So it was fun because the whole plane, the players' plane, I think a lot of people took their dogs on the players' plane, and so we just had a whole bunch of dogs on the plane, and then the family flight, there were a bunch of dogs on there too. It was an experience, to say the least.
Was there a dog crashing out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Chase McLaughlin.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
dang.
Not to throw Chase under the bus, but I have to because he's Chase. Chase's dogs were nuts. Yeah, he's got two awesome dogs. He's got a black lab and a brown lab, chocolate lab. And he was holding one, and Evan Deckers was holding the other. And they were just going nuts, but they're good dogs, so it was so funny.
Was that your last one? Or was it one after
Yes. That was one.
Okay.
So that was the last one I played in, and then I was on roster for the next one. And then I was back home in Tennessee.
Yeah. Take us through that process, behind the scenes of how that all worked, and then obviously you're moving back to Tennessee, which I know was great because you get the rest of the fall to yourself. You get to go back to your church. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome. There's been a lot of really good things to come out of it. But yeah, dude, that whole process was kind of crazy. I mean, it was such a weird season for me. Obviously, I didn't play very good. That's why I got cut. And that's just pretty black and white there. But yeah, I played in 4 games. I didn't play in 3 games. How all that happened was really weird. When I got told I wasn't playing, when I was told I was playing, what that looked like. It was kind of just a really, really weird thing. And I honestly, if we're just being transparent, I was definitely going through it a little bit during that, just because obviously when you're struggling, struggling's never fun, right? You never like not doing well. or what you're supposed to be doing well. And you're catching the flack and the heat from a bunch of different places, and the only thing you want to do is succeed. And I wasn't doing that. And so that was definitely challenging. And so I was definitely frustrated in all those moments. But once I got cut, it was kind of a good thing. I mean, like, we obviously, like, get cut, get everything situated to move out. We decided to move back to Tennessee, come back home where our house is. And, man, it was just so good. It was almost like there was like things that were happening back home that, like, it felt like God, like, brought me back home for, like, specific reasons. And I thought that was the coolest part about it, because you know that, like, in every situation in life, like, there's a reason for why things happen in life, right? Like, God is either he's teaching you something through a trial, or he's going to bring you somewhere to bring you out of it and show you exactly what he's doing in your life. And for me, I think what he taught me during this year was, again, like, this whole idea, and we actually talked about it on the first podcast, like, he taught me, like, hey, you got to seek me first above all else. Like, you got to keep me before football. You got to keep me before, anything like that. Because I think that, even when you get into a season, sometimes you can struggle with that, because, like, you could be all in, ride or die, like, God, like, I'm doing everything for you. And then all it takes is a moment when, failure strikes, right? And the first thing you're thinking is, like, oh my gosh, I got to fix this. I got to do this. This isn't going how I wanted it to go, right? And so I think that there are definitely moments where I did that. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, you talk about the faith of me and my wife growing during that season, though. It was wild. I mean, and I hate to say too sometimes that, like, it takes moments like that to really put you on your knees, and really, like, surrender to God and, like, say, God, like, you gotta, like, I need you to, like, show me something, get me out of this, or, like, take me where you want to take me. Because everybody always says, like, hey, when things go bad, that's when you find yourself on your knees. But when things are going good, you're always just like, oh, we're all good, I think what that showed me was, like, I got to be on my knees in the moment when I'm struggling, but I got to be on my knees in the moment when I'm doing really good too. And just keep, like, a consistent foundation, through it all. But man, that was a crazy time. I tell you what. I mean, David, you came over to the house. We talked a little bit about it too, man. That was it was a wild time.
Yeah, it was. I think the thing that I learned, though, as you were talking to me about it, and as you were talking about it just now, is there's a lot of Christianese you could spit out about, like, God is still good, and you're like, I still trust him. But I think for you and the platform that you have, right, like, your mistakes or shortcomings are seen by everybody. Like, everybody is seeing, like, okay, that punt went, like, 25 yards, So you're dealing with, as you mentioned, all of this scrutiny from all different types of directions. I think at that moment, and mind you, I never played football at no high level. I think at that moment, the only direction to look is up.
No, for sure.
Yeah, like, I'm just trying to understand, how you're able to do that, because you definitely want to just put your head down and hide, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
shoot, man. If you hit a bad punt, or like even that New Orleans game, like, we allowed a bad return. I mean, you can literally see me after that return. I'm just laying on the ground after diving for, of all people, Rashid Shaheed, who I have a lot of respect for, and I always talk to him before games, and he's always a heck of a player, and we always have great conversations. And of all people, I hate that he's the one that got a return on me. But I mean, like, I literally dove from, I was just literally laying on the ground, staring at the turf, like, face mask in the turf. And I'm literally just like, of course, like, this just, it felt like it summed it up. And again, like, what did I want to do? I just want to crawl in the corner and hide, right? Because I'm like, golly, like, this has just been so bad. It's been so frustrating. Failure is not fun. And it just feels like everybody's just pointing at you. And everybody's just looking at you like, this guy, right? And so, like, yeah, that's a real thing, and that's hard. And I think that if someone tells you that they don't feel that way in a moment like that, I think they're probably lying. Because I think that anybody that goes through any kind of adversity like that probably gets to a place where they're like, man, like sometimes you just want to go hide. Now, that's not to say that I wasn't fired up and wanted to get back out there and get ready to roll again. Because I sure did, man. But like in that quick moment, like man, it was such a tough moment. But like you said, like looking up, like that's the only way you can look up. I mean, I literally remember sitting on that bench after, and I was like, God, I was like, I still don't really get it. I don't really know what you're teaching me here, but it's gonna be something. And I was like, I just want you to take me wherever you need to take me. And I just wanted to serve him. Like in the most frustrating moments, I think that's where I found myself again leaning on him. And I think that's what was different for this year versus in the past in my life. I think in the past in my life, I'd go through something like this and I wouldn't first look to God. Even when it was tough, I would just be like, I got to figure this out by myself. But in this moment, for some reason, I think because of the faith journey that I've been walking, and the people around me that have supported me, I just continue to say, look, there's only one place I got to go with this, and it's to God. It's the only person that's going to get me out of this. It's the only person that's going to help any of this make any sense to me. And it's the only way that I'm going to be able to move forward. And so, yeah, dude, definitely there was only one way to look was up. Because I tell you what, if I looked down, I mean, there wasn't much more down that I felt like I could go. I was pretty doggone down. So absolutely, definitely just looking up.
What was the biggest difference from last year to this year, you feel like, for you to have that switch?
You talking about the faith-wise?
Yeah.
I think the biggest difference probably comes from, I'll actually take it back 2 years. Take it back to my rookie year, right? The biggest difference was like deciding to surrender, having that walk and saying, God, I'm really doing this for you, right? The consistency of like getting in the word, waking up in the morning and praying consistently, right? Like having that relationship with God. I think it's so valuable because look, like what do you do when you create a relationship with God? Like you create a relationship with anybody, right? And in moments that you need help, you go to the people that you trust the most. You go to the people that you are the closest friends to, right? For me, having a relationship with God stronger than what it had been, obviously because it's growing throughout the years, right? I just felt like that was where I wanted to go. Like that's where my comfort was. I knew that God was going to have a plan. I knew that God was going to find a way for me out of it. Even if it didn't look exactly like what I wanted to look like, he was going to have a plan. I'll tell you what, one of the songs that I listened to, I don't know if you guys like Chandler Moore?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chandler Moore is unreal. And he had a song, it's called What I Needed. And it came out right before the season started. It was like during the preseason. And there's like a part of the song where he literally like talks about, he's like, it felt like you didn't come through for me when you didn't do exactly what I wanted, right? And then he said, but you always gave me what I needed, right, in the end. And so for me, I was like, yeah, this is my anthem right now. I'm like, man, it really does feel like you're not coming through for me, but you're always going to find a way to take me exactly where I need and show me what I needed and take me out of the situation I didn't need to be in. So yeah, man, again, how did I do it? Just looking to him. That just being in the word, man. Like I really think that like the more time you spend in the word and in prayer, the stronger that relationship with God's going to be, right? The more conversations you have with other people about God and about your relationship and about their relationships. That's what I think just really continues to grow your relationship with him and allows you to be able to lean on him in those tough times.
Yeah, it's always difficult because we don't know the eternal end goal, right? For what God has already planned for us. So when we're living in the moment, it's kind of like, dang, why is this happening? I feel like I've been doing a lot of these steps right. I feel like I've been living righteously. And so it's funny that we're bringing this up right now because I've been going over Job for the last month.
I literally was about to say, like, dude, just think about Job.
Yeah, I've been going over Job.
What did Job do wrong? Like he just didn't do anything wrong, but what happened? Like the enemy came in and said, no, I'm just gonna terrorize you.
And one thing that's been sticking out to me about that story is kind of what you mentioned, how, you're face down looking at the turf and you feel like everyone's looking at you saying like you messed up, and you can feel that weight. And when it comes to Job, like his friends telling him the whole time, what did you do? Why are you living
Hmm.
unrighteously? Why did you mistrust God? And Job's like, I didn't. I've
He's
been
like,
really good,
I
and
actually
they don't
like that's
believe
just
him.
how it happened.
Yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like God knew what exactly was going to happen down the line, even though Job couldn't see it in the moment. And so I think that's like the beauty in all this is like, yes, God allows these trials to happen, but He's doing it for a purpose. And as
Oh
long as
yeah.
we just trust that purpose, then we can get through those trials a little bit easier. Even though it is tough, though, it definitely is tough. But yeah, that Job story is crazy how all his friends are just like, no, you're lying. Like you did something wrong.
Yeah.
And Job was like, "No, I promise you, I didn't. I've been living a pretty good life. It's just not my day to day." So,
Yeah. And I think that I mean and again, I'll say this again, like I think the coolest thing is like you don't see it when you're in it, right?
mhm,
But you see it once you're out of it because what happens is like for me, like when I came back here, like I got an opportunity to help, mentor a kid that is a punter, right? Who I've become close to. And it was almost I literally and I told him this, I was like, dude, I was like, I almost feel like God took me out of the situation that he didn't necessarily want me in, that wasn't, you know, where I needed to be. And he brought me here for one specific reason, is that was to be with you and to work with you and to in a way potentially mentor you, right? And just be around and help out. And I was like literally like that gave me so much peace.
yeah,
Like just going home at nights, here in the winter, just thinking to myself like, I could have been here doing this. And we could always talk about the could have been and should have been and would have been, right? But that's not where I am right now.
yeah, yeah.
Like where I am right now is where God wants me to be. And I'm just going to trust in his plan and just trust that he's got me exactly where he wants to be. I'll tell you another thing, like the one of the other hard parts about getting cut is you get cut and now as a punter you're like, okay, well there's a chance I could play for another team this year. If a guy gets hurt, there could be a workout call, this and that. And so for me, like there's a bunch of workouts happening and I was never really getting any calls.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, this is just kind of weird. I'm like, I get it. Like I definitely played bad this year, like for sure, but like I'm definitely the caliber football player that like I can play in the league. Like I know that I'm a good enough player. I've done it in the past and I struggled for a little bit, but that's not going to define the kind of player that I am, right? And so I would get these, like I see all these workouts happening, and then I kind of just got to this point where I was like, look, if I'm not getting an invite to that workout, it's because God doesn't need me there right now. Like that's just not where I'm supposed to be. And so I was like, let me find peace in that. Find peace in the fact that God is holding me back from an area where I don't need to be.
Mm.
And so that's kind of the posture I even took towards those things. But yeah, man, it's cool when you get out of it and you get to see all the great things that God was trying to show you and do in you and instill in you.
It must be tough though, when it comes to that aspect of things. Just because I know you're a competitor, that's how you got to the level that you're at. And
Yeah.
so, how do you subdue that? Not flesh, like I don't know how to describe it, but I mean that's how God made you. Like you're competitive. How do you subdue that type of emotion and still look towards God? Like how difficult has that been?
Oh, it's tough, man, because what happens when you get cut? Your inner being, right? The things that you
Yeah.
think about are like, oh man, like now everybody thinks that I'm like a fraud, or everybody thinks that I'm not very good, or like they think that I can't compete. And what you end up doing is you start telling yourself all these lies about yourself, which is what the enemy wants. The enemy wants you to start believing the lies, right, that you say about yourself, like saying I'm not good enough, right? I'm not able to play. These guys are all better than me, right? You can't listen to all those lies, right? And sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. But it's tough because, like, obviously, I want to get out there and compete. I want to compete with everybody, whoever the best of the best is. Um, and so, yeah, not getting that chance to, and then having the in the back of your mind thinking like, oh, these guys just don't think I can compete anymore, right? Like, it's definitely a battle, but I found a way to just go to the field kind of like by myself in ways, and even with my buddy that I was punting with, like, and just find ways to compete there. to keep that fire burning, to keep it rolling to a place where I was like, look, like God gave me this ability for a reason. He didn't take it away from me. I'm still able to do this. So why not find a way to compete here and now where I'm at, even if I'm not in the building? So yeah, no, that fire's still there. I still love to compete for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My thing is, you don't know this because I didn't tell you this, but I'm telling you now. I got so many text messages throughout the season that said they could have just kept Jake if they was gonna punt like this. Like Cory sent me one.
Yeah, David.
Elena sent me one.
David. Yeah, David, talk your stuff. Let him know.
So many times people are like, you could have kept Jake if this was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at least look, we know you can run. You could have ran a fake punt for a first down against the Falcons. I mean, golly.
Okay, I got a lot of text too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just, so I'm just saying, as a competitor, you know what I mean? Like, even though I'm not athletically gifted to play in the NFL, but as a competitor though, I'm just looking like, if y'all was just gonna keep cutting punters and y'all was so unhappy with special teams this year, I don't know, maybe there's another common denominator and it wasn't Jake. Like, that's just me. That's just me. Glory be to God that he has you where he needs you.
Yep.
Right? But just as a football fan, like, come on, bro. Like, I just had to get that out.
Get that out your chest.
I just had to get that out, bro. Because I'm sitting here like,
I'm glad you said it.
Somebody had to. I mean, dang.
Oh, man.
Somebody had to. I'm just sitting here watching the games like, Jake could have did that. What you mean? If y'all, and he, the whole, I don't know how the whole thing works with, so many elevations and you got to do something, you got to make a decision. All right, whatever. But at the same time, I have not seen a team, and not because of injury reasons, just be like, you know what, we need a new punter. Like, what? Many times.
It was something else. It was a pretty crazy scenario, pretty crazy situation.
So I'm just, as a competitor, that's how I feel. But you feel as though like you've got a chance to get back on the team. Like you want to get back in the league. Is that where you're at?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm signed, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm back.
I didn't know that.
What?
What did I miss?
I don't know. So I haven't really posted a lot about it.
No, you have not.
Yeah, so I signed a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, for a futures deal for next year.
Oh, snap.
So
okay.
Going to Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
We had, we were talking a few things in the work, trying to figure out what next year was going to look like, and Buffalo wanted to sign me to a futures contract, so I've got maybe an opportunity next year to go up there and compete up there, and see if I can hopefully find my way back in. But that's where we're going.
For people who don't know, what is the futures contract?
Okay, that's a great question. Because I'm still trying to figure it out. So a futures contract essentially means, I'm pretty sure it essentially means that I'm able to go up there for OTAs, and training camp and stuff like that, and just get an opportunity to compete up there to try to make the team. So I'm signed to them, which means like obviously like another team can't sign me. Once I was signed to a futures contract, I was ineligible to be signed by a team in the playoffs. So like all those things kind of come into play. But yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure that's what it looks like. It just means that like contractually, like I'm signed with them.
So when it comes to Buffalo, I'm interested now from a kicking perspective, punting perspective. I don't know. I got to decipher the two. But in that cold, in that weather, how are you trying to prepare for that? I'm assuming they're going to be looking out for someone that's able to do that in that type of condition.
It's funny, man. I don't know if you can prepare for, snow games and, like really cold weather like that. Like, it's cold out here in Tennessee. Like it's, I think the high today is like 22 or 23. And
it's cold.
It gets down to the teens and it's cold. So like, technically I could go out and punt this afternoon and be like, I'm going to really simulate what it feels like. But it's really hard to simulate weather. I've always kind of thought this, like, you kind of just show up, and whatever hand you're dealt is the hand you're dealt. And you kind of just try to work with what you got. I mean, I actually what I stopped doing after my rookie year, I stopped looking at the Weather Channel before I went to a game, because I was like, all I'm going to do is start having this anxiety about the future of what I'm going to potentially see. And if all I'm worried about is the future, and I'm not worried about the now, what I'm doing in the moment, right? And so I told myself this. I said, look, I don't look up the weather when I go to practice. I just go to practice, and whatever it is at practice, I just try to figure it out that day. And it's like the same thing. Like, I can't, like, if it's blowing 35 mile an hour versus 6 mile an hour, okay, I can't simulate 35 mile an hour when it's blowing 6 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There's no way I can simulate that. So it's kind of hard to prepare for something like that if I can't simulate it like during that week. So I don't know. I really don't try to think too deep into it. I kind of just like, I mean, my idea is this, is just like, just show up and try to play ball. Like, just whatever hand you're dealt is the hand you're dealt. Like, let's just go have fun with it. Try to keep it like backyard football, you know?
That's dope. Yeah, I respect that for sure. Especially the anxiety part. 'Cause I'm sure if you see high gusts, you're gonna be thinking about it until kickoff.
Oh yeah, I mean, my rookie year, me and Suck Up, we used to look up we were on the flight headed home from the game, and we just played. We were already looking at the weather for the next week, because we just like, oh, I wonder what it's gonna be, what it's gonna be, because, you know, like in Tampa, like it blows, like it is windy in Tampa, like the wind really does blow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it whips down there, so it can be a tough place to play. And so we would always look it up, but I found myself in this place of like, man, like my anxiety is kicking up just thinking about like what's going to be. And, you know, you're going through the week, you're like, golly, like I'm going to play in a really windy game this week, and like got to really prepare for that. But like, I just didn't find that to really help me out at all. Versus just showing up and saying, all right, sweet, let's rip it. Let's just have fun with it.
Play ball, baby.
Yeah.
Just play ball. Yeah.
Just play ball.
Yeah, just play ball, man. I think that's the thing that gets a lot of athletes in trouble, and even us too, as sportscasters, because we start overthinking how to do something. Like, okay, how do I approach this? Like, oh man, we got some breaking news coming up, or something unprecedented has happened, or whatever it is, and you're trying to figure out how to best either perform or, you know, cover it or whatever it is. You end up psyching yourself out, and you end up having something that really just wasn't that good of a product at the end of it. So for all the sportscasters that listen, because there are a handful of them that do listen, don't overthink it. Just start with what's relevant. You know, you don't always have to start with football. That's usually people's go-to. Like, oh, I got to start with football. No, you don't. What actually happened? What's going on right now? What's the biggest deal? And just go from there, bro. Like, that's really it. And ultimately, make sure you're giving thanks to God before you go do it. That's been a huge turnaround, was just saying, Lord, thank you for this opportunity to do what you blessed me to do. Ask that he, you know, basically perform through you, you know, let your light shine here, and then just go.
I'll tell you what, though, what you said something though earlier that really had me thinking of this verse that I want to say it's in Matthew. It's a verse where it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God
and His righteousness,
and all will be given to you." But it's that verse after that,
6:33, I believe, is that verse
where it says, "Don't be anxious or don't worry about tomorrow." Right? But where did it start? It says it started with seek first the kingdom of God, and then it finishes with don't worry about tomorrow, for each day has enough troubles of its own. Man, that's just like what you said, like, you know, like give him praise to God first, like seek him first, and then let everything else play out.
Yep.
So,
I stole that from you, David. I've been doing that before my sportscast, I should say. Just thanking him for the position. Because I think that calms me down when the anxiety starts to creep in. I always tell myself, like, bro, God has you here. Like, you got this job, you got this platform, and you're not prepared, right? You got here for a reason. You have the skill set to perform well. Now you just have to believe and trust that you're here for His glory and not your own glory. And I think that's where everything settles me down, when I realize, like, God put me here for a reason. Just like Jake, how you mentioned, like, God still gives you the ability to punt. Like, it's not like he took that away from you.
Yeah.
And so, like, still having that ability to me tells me and reveals to me that God has me right where he wants me. So now all you have to do is go out and perform and do your thing. And so, I'm right there with you, David. Like, that calms my anxiety down a lot when I think about, like, I'm supposed to be here and I'm talented enough to do what I'm about to do. So stop overthinking things and just do it. So
it's fear. That's literally like anytime. I just heard this on Sunday. Shout out to Pastor Will because he did go. I wish you could have met him, bro. Because right before the Chiefs game, he did the chapel for the Bucs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the day before.
Yeah.
I talked to Baker about it for a little bit. Baker and KJ about it for a little bit. But Pastor Will just said on Sunday, fear is where faith in God is not. They cannot coexist in the same place. You cannot tell me you have fear in an area and then say you have faith in God in that same area. Like, that does not make sense. Like, it just does not. So if you have a ton of fear that I'm not going to perform well and then I'm going to lose my job, or in our case, they just patiently wait for your contract to run out and be like, yeah, we think we're going to go in another direction. We don't want you back, which was my fear. Transparency moment. That was my fear. I'm way too young. Like, old heads think I'm way too young for the market that I'm in. I'm in a top 15 market. I'm covering 3 professional teams. I came out of college and went straight to a top 75 market, which was Knoxville, Tennessee, right? Usually you're supposed to go to the middle of nowhere somewhere in either Iowa or Montana or, some station that no one's
West
ever heard
Texas.
of. Yeah, or Corpus Christi, Texas. Yeah, something like that. And they think, like, oh, yeah, that's where you're supposed to go when you first start out. I went to Knoxville. Yeah. So it was already a whole thing of, like, people thought I was an intern or thought I, was just there from the University of Tennessee, which I found disgusting. I was like, don't ever affiliate me with the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Yeah, don't ever in your life.
I got to deal with a lot of that around here.
Oh, my gosh. Which is crazy because you're in Nashville, but, like, at the same time, that's kind of how it is in Georgia. Like, Georgia Tech is right there, and no one cares.
Like, no one cares.
No one cares.
Irrelevant. It's an irrelevant school, though. So.
They're like, Georgia's in Athens. And they're like, yeah, and we'd rather go there. Like, no one wants to go to Bobby Dodd, bro. I'm sorry.
Nope.
We don't care.
That's so sad, though. Like,
that's how it should be.
Because when we went for the SC championship, we're driving to our hotel, and I'm looking around like, bro, we on campus right now?
Yeah, you are.
Go through campus to get to the hotel downtown. I'm just like, this is wild. Like, they're in this, like, in the city, and no one gives a rip about the Yellow Jackets.
It's the same thing in Nashville. Vanderbilt is right there, and everyone's talking about the Vols. Yeah. But, people thought I went to Tennessee because I was so young working in Knoxville. And then 3 years later, now I'm in Tampa. I wasn't even 28 then, I was like 25, maybe 26, I forget. But still super young. They think you got to be at least 30. This guy told me, he was like, you shouldn't tell people your age until you're 30 in this business. And I was like, thanks for that advice. And I told everybody I was 26. And I was like, I'm 26. That was the worst. It was the stupidest, most backhanded compliment / advice ever. And he was like, happy birthday. I want to give you some unsolicited advice. Don't tell anybody your birthday. And I was like, okay. I'm 26. And what is that? So if you don't believe what I have to say because of that, you're just stupid. Also, Scripture tells, don't let anybody despise you for your youth. It's in this book.
Yeah.
So thank you for your worldly advice. God has me here for a reason.
Thank you.
There's so much fear though that does creep in, and you're like, okay, I am really young. And then I remembered, the Lord reminded me, dude, you fasted and prayed to get here. Like, my hand was on you when you got here. You got here without an audition. You got here without an interview. You got here based off of 2 text messages and a phone call. Yeah. And I still gave you favor to negotiate a higher salary when you really didn't have anything to stand on but me. Yeah. You're fine. And now I'm negotiating a new contract because they want me back. Praise God.
Praise God.
Yeah, so praise God, they want me back. So it's like, that whole thing, Cory, is fear. Speak straight to it. You tell that fear it has no place No place in your life. And that it has to move out. You're evicting the fear because faith in God is about to move in that same area. It's as simple as that. And then you just go from there. And you do what you got to do, dude. I mean, you really don't let fear settle in. Like it has no place. And we know it doesn't come from God. Scripture tells us fear does not come from God. So that is just something to take as long as you are in Austin and wherever you're going to be next, whatever that next, station is, because it is a contract year for you too. So, as long as you don't go to New Orleans, I'm fine. Just don't go there. Because then I'm like, I can't rock with you, bro. I'm not trying to hear nothing about the Saints.
Yeah, what you mean, bro? Come down to Bourbon, I'll show you a nice little time.
No.
Nope.
No.
All right, say less.
No, sir. Nope. When we was living for the world, we was on Bourbon. But not now.
Oh, bro. The
Not
food
now.
spots, though.
Nah.
I went to a fire food spot on Bourbon. We went there for the Sugar Bowl last year. Tried oysters for the first time. Hated it. I don't know why
you hated the oysters?
I don't know why people like oysters. What do you say, Jake?
There's just so many other cities you can go to get food. You don't have to go to.
You don't have to go to New Orleans. You don't.
You really.
I'm not going to New Orleans. New Orleans, I think, is a higher market than Austin too. Right now, we've grown.
But you don't have to go there, man. Don't cover the Saints.
Go somewhere else.
Just don't. I couldn't do it.
They got believers over there.
They got believers everywhere. What you mean?
Yeah.
There's believers. What are you talking about? You can go to whatever market.
Hey, look, I'm going wherever God leads me. You know what I'm saying? My last thing I wanted to ask you, just being a college football fan and seeing that your Dogs kind of didn't have home field advantage in the playoff in their first game, what would be any changes? If you can do one change for the college football playoff, what would it be?
I don't think that the ranking committee ranks teams. I think there's a ranking issue. Okay. I don't think that the committee ranks teams based on who they actually think is the best football team.
You think sometimes narratives?
I think there's a lot of oh, they did this, we're going to put them here. Oh, they did this, we're going to put them here. And again, look, I'm an SEC guy, like you read about, like born, bred, SEC. The SEC is the most premier conference. I can't tell you how many people in the NFL, league, higher ups have told me, the SEC is the most premier conference. It just is. It's a fact. The Big Ten, they had a fantastic year. You can absolutely put them in the conversation. Sure. The ACC, no. You just can't. I saw a bunch of arguments the other day about this Notre Dame guy who was like, we've had the most ranked wins all year. I'm like, but who were your ranked wins?
Yeah.
You beat Army, you beat Navy, you beat Louisville. I'm trying to figure out, you beat Georgia. That's a great job. I give you a lot of props. You beat Georgia with a backup quarterback. Good job. But, there's just a whole lot of things in my mind that I'm just I don't like the way that they rank the team. So I think that the ranking situation is the first thing that needs to get fixed because you got to stop. And I think Nick Saban even talked about it too. You got to stop putting teams like an SMU, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to stop ranking them super high. No offense to SMU. SMU doesn't even deserve to be in the same boat as some of these other teams. If you're telling me in your truthful heart, and you can say whatever you want about bowl games, I don't care. You're telling me in your heart that you put SMU up against Ole Miss, Alabama, or South Carolina, that they're going to win that football game? You truly believe that they're going to show up in that environment neutral? I don't care if it's a neutral site. You telling me that one of those three teams is going to lose to an SMU, or one of those three teams is going to lose to a Boise State?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. So I think fundamentally there's a ranking issue. I just don't think that they're good at ranking these teams because, again, I'm a strength schedule guy. You look at strength schedules, you play in the SEC versus you play in the whatever. I don't even know the other conference, the Big 12. The SEC and the Big 12 are not the same. It is a different it is a different football game. It's a different game.
I think I'm a big believer that the committee needs to go to games. Like, stop watching it on TV because I feel like you can learn a lot. I know, David, I mean, we've all experienced, like, on the sidelines, you can tell when a team is fast and physical. On the television, you can kind of tell, but, like, once you're on the field, you can tell the difference between who's out there hitting
You can hear
and
it.
who's not. You hear it, exactly. So I think the committee has to be required to go to games throughout the season to look at these teams that are ranked in the top 10, 15, whatever, so they can get a better view.
I mean, you're getting me on it now. I think another thing I don't like about the whole committee thing is like there's people on the committee that are like ADs of schools.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
isn't like the head of the committee like the AD at Michigan?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
It feels like a conflict of interest. It feels like if you're having a say in who's going to go play in the college football playoff, I don't know. Like,
You should have no ties.
You're the AD of this school. You're telling me you're going to take your feelings out of it? No shot. No way. You cannot convince me. I don't know. Those things drive me nuts. And then obviously, like, the way that it was scripted this year, I mean, I hate it for Georgia because Georgia by far would have had the easiest walk into the national championship. Obviously,
You said despite, like, Beck's injuries, is that what you're saying?
I mean, even despite Carson getting hurt, like they still would have had they still have the easiest walk. Like I stand on this. I never thought Notre Dame was a very good football team. And I never thought Penn State was a very good football team. I think we kind of saw that too. Like last night, like the only thing that Notre Dame did good last night
The first drive.
The first drive, they did great.
Yeah.
Ohio State lit them up, and then Ohio State started playing conservative. So I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of either of those teams. Not to say that there aren't some great people on those teams. Sure, Riley Leonard, great guy, loves the Lord. Like, praise God for him. Right, he's awesome. I don't know. I wasn't a believer in a couple of those teams in the playoff, and I mean honestly, I think it should be more of an 18 playoff, not a 12-team playoff. That's another way I would fix it.
Well, Jake, dude, we've taken up so much of your time, bro. We thank you for giving us your time, obviously, but we have
hanging out here, man. I'm anytime, man.
Hey, anytime. Obviously, you're more than welcome here, and thanks to you and your transparency and your openness, we were able to get Casey Phillips on the bench with us. We do have Duke coming up.
No way.
Yes. I finally got to talk to Duke. I mean, Duke is like 6'5", 6'6". He looks right past people. He is very good at that because of how tall he is.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times where I like try to talk to him, but like I was like, he can't see me. Like his eyes are up here. But once I finally got to talk to him, I told him what we do, and he was like, "Oh heck yeah!" Got his email. We got it scheduled. So in a couple weeks, it's gonna be us and Duke, man. We got it to work.
That's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be for everybody listening. You're gonna want to tune into that one because that guy's got some good knowledge. He's unreal.
Again, dude, you are our first guest. You are always welcome back anytime. I'm sure we've got more to talk about when it comes to college football. And
come on, bring a hot topic. I'll run with anything.
College football, NFL football, whatever it is, and then we'll check in on you when you're in Buffalo.
Sweet.
We will make sure to do that, and we will just keep in touch like we always do, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate
dude.
You guys.
Much appreciated, dude.
Thank you,
everybody listening, thank you all for listening. It was a long conversation, but if you stuck with us, hey, you might as well hit subscribe at this point. If you was here this whole time, hit subscribe or hit follow wherever you were listening, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and share this with a friend or family member because one share can change a life. Until next Wednesday, where we will actually have a Heisman Trophy voter. That's going to be big time. We got a Heisman Trophy voter joining us right here on Game Day Grace. Until then, be easy and be blessed.